let me say that I didn't upload last week classes because I have been without internet for a whole week. And the service only came back last Saturday, and my computer is uh, crammed with lots of things that I have to upload. So please be patient.
Sorry, Nisela.
Yes.
May I say something?
Yes.
Yesterday, I also remembered what you said last class about the three witches, because I was watching Hercules, the movie that
Yes.
have
They
you seen
appear
it?
there.
The three witches, they say that they represent the past, the present, and the future. And so it reminded me of Macbeth.
Yes, because the Hercules it's a myth that comes from Greek mythology, and this is what Shakespeare used to talk about the three witches. He used that reference. Yes, so definitely it's the same people in different stories. Okay,
Yes.
very interesting. That's called intertextuality, when we find traces from one text in a different text. Yes. Um, what was I saying? I was going to say that Act 1, Scene 1, it's all with women who are evil. Yes. And Act 1, Scene 2 takes place in a moment in which is at a battle. Remember that the witches were talking about a battle, and these are all men and they are all honorable. Okay, so that's the big contrast between act 1 and sorry, between scene 1 and scene 2. So we're going to do the same as last week. We're going to first listen to an extract, and then I'm going to explain it to you. Okay, I'm not going, because up to now we have been going word by word. As from now, the analysis won't be word by word. We will do an overall analysis of this thing, and in fact, as from after winter holidays, we are going to analyze only some scenes of the play so that we can finish it, because otherwise we won't finish it. Yes, so the idea is not to analyze word by word, but to obtain the general meaning. Yes, of each extract that I show you, and more or less to have an idea of maybe some words that have a lot of meaning within the scene. Okay, I'm telling you this because sometimes it happens that you start asking me word by word, and we could do that, but the problem is that we wouldn't finish with Macbeth by the end of the year, and we also have to do Paradise Lost. So that's why we are going to do an overall analysis. Okay, let me just share sound with you so that there we go. Let me know if you hear it properly, and if not, we can try to fix it. Okay, so act 1, scene 2. Everyone please, I need you to have your books with you somewhere. Okay,
Exeunt. Act 1, Scene 2. A camp near Forres. Alarm within. Enter Duncan, Malcolm, Donalbain, Lennox, with attendants, meeting a bleeding sergeant.
What bloody man is that? He can report, as seemeth by his plight, of the revolt, the newest state.
This is the sergeant who, like a good and hardy soldier, fought gainst my captivity. Hail, brave friend! Say to the king the knowledge of the broil as thou didst leave it.
Doubtful it stood, as two spent swimmers that do cling together and choke their art.
okay, we're going to stop here so that we can analyze those first lines. Yes, those of you who have just entered, we are starting act 1, scene 2. Yes, some words might be different because of the different editions. Yes, but the meaning is the same, more or less. Yes, we are in a camp. Yes, and we have the stage directions. Yes, the people who enter, alarm within, that was a noise that was made when there was a battle. Yes. And let's go to the analysis of the lines. Duncan is the king of Scotland in this at this specific moment of the story. What bloody man is that? So apparently there is a man coming, and he says, what bloody man is that? Who is that person that is covered in blood? Remember that when people usually are at war, they are all covered in blood, and it's difficult to identify them. Yes? He can report as seemed by his plight of the revolt, the newest state. So, because of the way he looks, yes, he can report, he can tell us, yes, of the revolt, of the battle. So King Duncan, of course, is waiting to get news from the battlefield, because you know that kings would go to the, let's say, to war, but they wouldn't always go to the battlefield. Yes, because they would have people fighting for them. And King Duncan is a very old king. Okay? Malcolm says, this is the sergeant. Malcolm is Duncan's first son. So, he should be, he's the first, he's the heir to the throne. Yes? Malcolm. This is the sergeant who, like a good and hardy soldier, fought against my captivity. So this is the sergeant who fought, yes, to prevent me or to keep me from being captured. Yes, so he is the one who saved me. You will notice that in Old English there is a lot of use of apostrophes. Against means against. Do you see the word there? I forgot that I have to show you because I took a picture of this page. Wait. But I didn't include this. Okay, never mind. Hail, brave friend. Hail is a way of saying
Nisera,
hi. Yes.
I have it here on my screen. Do you want me to show it?
No, it's okay because now I have pictures and things to show you. I didn't include this last year, and that's why I don't have it. But don't worry, because this part is not so important. Yes. Thank you, Facundo, anyway. So this person that is coming here is going to tell us, is going to tell Duncan, Malcolm, and everyone that is here, and let me say between brackets, and they are not fighting in the battlefield, because who is in the battlefield? Macbeth. Yes. So he is going to report, he's going to tell them what was happening at the battle. Say to the king, the knowledge of the broil. The broil is the battle. Yes, so tell us what you know about the battle. Yes, as thou didst leave it, as you have left it. Okay, so far so good. So now comes a short speech by this captain, and he's going to tell us, I have it here, what he says. Yes. Doubtful it stood. Notice the use of inversion. Instead of saying it was doubtful, he starts with here with doubtful. Doubtful it stood. He doesn't start with the subject. So it wasn't clear who was winning at a specific moment. Yes, every time that I read this thing, I remember Game of Thrones. I don't know if someone has seen it, that scene in which there is such an episode called the Battle of the Bastards. I don't remember honestly the name, but I do remember that Jon Snow fights against several armies, and there is a moment in which there is a maze of people all crumbled together, and you cannot understand who is winning and who is losing. Yes. So this is the idea. Doubtful it stood, as two spent swimmers that do cling together. And here he's going to use imagery. Remember that we talked about imagery? That is the use of emotionally charged words and phrases that bring up a mental picture. We said verbal painting. Yes, remember that the setting at that time was very limited, so Shakespeare would try to enrich his vocabulary so that people could understand what was happening. Yes, so he's going to use imagery that comes from swimming. So he's using a metaphor. Yes, doubtful it stood, as two spent swimmers that do cling together and choke their art. Yes, so they looked as two swimmers that were fighting against each other. You know, when people fight in the water, you never know who is winning and who is losing. The merciless MacDonald. MacDonald is a rebel and someone who betrayed Scotland. Yes, worthy to be a rebel, for to that the multiplying villainies of nature do swarm upon him. Yes, so here the idea is that the armies were like swimmers. Yes, and here the multiplying villainies of nature do swarm upon him. Here the idea is that they looked like insects. Swarm is a word that is connected with insects, with bees, un enjambre. You know, when several insects appear flying together, the multiplying villainies of nature do swarm upon him. From the Western Isles, and I think that's as far as we heard. Let me see, as we could listen to. Oh.
The merciless MacDonald, worthy to be a rebel.
Yes, and let's continue listening as from here till the end, okay?
For to that the multiplying villainies of nature do swarm upon him. From the Western Isles, of kerns and gallow glasses is supplied, and fortune, on his damned quarrel smiling, showed like a rebel's whore. But all's too weak, for brave Macbeth, well he deserves that name, disdaining fortune, with his brandished steel, which smoked with bloody execution, like Valor's minion, carved out his passage till he faced the slave, which ne'er shook hands, nor bade farewell to him, till he unseamed him from the knave to the chaps, and fixed his head upon our battlements.
Okay, so let's continue analyzing this. Give me a second. Okay, so of kerns and gallows is supplied. So the other army was heavily armed. Yes, they were wearing different kinds of armors. And fortune, notice that fortune appears with a capital letter because this is personification of fortune. What is personification? It's when an abstract or non-abstract object assumes human traits. Okay? So fortune, on his damned quarrel smiling. So notice that fortune, if we think of fortune, fortune cannot smile. But in this case, in literature, this is what is called personification. When you give to a concept human attributes. Yes, so fortune was smiling towards the enemy. This is the idea. Luck was on the side of the enemy. Show like a rebel's whore, but and notice here how the mood changes when he says, but all's too weak for brave Macbeth. And this is the second time that his name is mentioned, but he doesn't appear. Yes? Well, he deserves that name. So, but all's too weak for brave Macbeth, meaning that no one is as powerful as Macbeth. Yes? Well, he deserves that name. Disdaining, mocking, making fun of fortune with his brandished steel. Brandished in here it means que como con su espada resplandeciente. That would be the idea. Which smoked with bloody execution. So it, you know, when it's very cold, it's easy to find steam, smoke out of, maybe that comes out of your mouth or even from the floor. When in this case there was smoke coming out of his steel with the blood that he had used to kill other people. Yes, which smoked with bloody execution like Valor's minion. Yes, like the favorite of bravery. Yes, a minion is a favorite. Valor here stands for bravery. Carved out his passage, so he made his way killing people. Yes, so he carved his passage. He made way till he faced the slave. Who is the slave? MacDonald. So he started making way by killing people with his brandished steel, his brandished sword, until he faced MacDonald. And which never, yes, here the apostrophe, it's never, which never shook hands nor bade farewell to him. So he didn't even introduce himself. He didn't say, hi, my name is Macbeth and I'm here to kill you. Yes. He says, till he unseamed him. Unseam, this is imagery that comes from sewing, from sewing. Yes. The coser. So he unseamed him. He ripped him open. That's the idea. Yes. Till he unseamed him from the nape to the chops. Here I always use this image because I'm never able to explain this. The nape to the chops. Yes. So he unseamed him. He ripped him open on his stomach, let's say. From the nape to the chops. And fixed his head upon our battlements. Yes, so he cut his head and fixed it on the battlements to say that the war, that they have won the battle. Okay, this is the idea. Okay, any questions? Okay, we continue listening a bit more.
Oh, valiant cousin, worthy gentleman.
As whence the sun gins his reflection, shipwrecking storms and direful thunders break, so from that spring whence comfort seemed to come, discomfort swells. Mark, King of Scotland, mark, no sooner justice had with valour armed compelled these skipping kerns to trust their heels, but the Norweyan lord, surveying vantage, with furbished arms and new supplies of men, began a fresh assault.
Dismayed not this our captains, Macbeth and Banquo?
Yes, as sparrows eagles, or the hare the lion, if I so sooth, I must report. They were as cannons overcharged with double cracks, so they doubly redoubled strokes upon the foe. Except they meant to bathe in reeking wounds, or memorize another Golgotha, I cannot tell. But I am faint. My gashes cry for help.
Okay. Of course, Duncan is happy about this situation. Yes, because they are winning. Oh, valiant cousin. Notice that cousin does not mean cousin in a family term. Cousin was a way of addressing anyone, just as maybe today we say my friend or someone that is close to us, but it doesn't actually mean primo, okay? Worthy gentleman, as whence in Shakespeare means from where. Okay, from where? Sorry, I was checking on something. As once the sun begins his reflection, shipwrecking storms and direful thunders, so from that spring whence comfort seemed to come, discomfort swells. So here what he says is that just as they were beginning to win the battle, then things started look bad for them. Mark, King of Scotland, Mark, so no, pay attention to what I say, this is the idea of Mark. No sooner justice had with valor armed compelled these skipping cans to trust their heels, but the Norwegian lord, surveying vantage with furnished arms and new supplies of men, began a fresh assault. So again, MacDonald took advantage of this situation and they started fighting again, so they weren't completely defeated. And Duncan says, dismayed not these our captains? Again, the use of inversion. Yes, didn't this dismay, didn't this discourage our captains, Macbeth and Banquo? And here there is a very important name being introduced, which is the name of Banquo. Banquo is sort of Macbeth's best friend. Yes, and remember that Banquo, both Banquo and Macbeth and Duncan, also they were also real life people. Yes, and Banquo in real life was a distant relative of King James, who in real life had betrayed King James, but Shakespeare couldn't write that at that moment. So in the play, Banquo is going to be a positive character, because otherwise Shakespeare could have been executed for saying that a relative of the king betrayed him. Okay, so weren't they discouraged because of this? And here the captain is going to make use of irony. Irony is also a literary device. Yes, he says, yes, as sparrows eagles, or the hare the lion. So yes, they were as scared as sparrows are small brown birds. Yes, so they were as afraid as an eagle is afraid of a sparrow. They were as afraid as a lion is afraid of a hare. A hare is a liebre. So let me give you a small definition of irony, because something that is very often confused is irony with sarcasm, and they are different. Irony is a figure of speech in which words are used in such a way that their intended meaning is different from the original meaning. So it's a figure of speech in which I say something but I mean the opposite. Okay? Sorry. And usually it's not always with the idea is that in this case there is a fine line between irony and sarcasm, but sarcasm, because what happens with irony is that the other person who is listening to you is usually aware of what you are saying, like in this case. Okay, the other person understands that it is not that Macbeth was afraid. Yes, they are making fun of the situation. Yes, but in sarcasm, the comments clearly mean the opposite. Yes, of what the speaker means, but they are usually made in order to hurt someone's feelings. And not to make fun of the situation, but rather to hurt someone's feelings. Okay? Well, then here the captain, by the end, if you go to line 42, he says, "But I am faint, my gashes cry for help." So I'm not feeling okay, my wounds, my gashes need to be taken care of. Yes? Notice that we will see, while we analyze Macbeth, that different themes are constantly being repeated. The one theme that is already introduced here is the theme of blood. The theme of blood. This is a very bloody play. In fact, it belongs to the Jacobean time. The Jacobean theater is much more violent than Elizabethan theater. Yes, look at the I can't show you the cover, but well, never mind, I'll show it to you. Look. Yes, in the picture, in the cover, we already see the blood in Macbeth's hands. Yes, and this will be a crucial topic throughout the play. Yes, a very important topic. Okay, let's continue listening a little bit more.
So will thy words become thee as thy wounds. They smack of honour both. Go, get him surgeons.
Exit surgeon attended.
Who comes here?
Enter Ross.
The worthy Thane of Ross.
What a haste looks through his eyes. So should he look, that seems to speak things strange.
God save the king.
Whence camest thou, worthy Thane?
From Fife, great king, where the Norwegian banners flout the sky and fan our people cold. Norway himself, with terrible numbers, assisted by that most disloyal traitor, the Thane of Cawdor, began a dismal conflict, till that Bellona's bridegroom, lapped in proof, confronted him with self-comparisons, point against point, rebellious, arm against arm, curving his lavish spirit, and to conclude, the victory fell on us.
Great happiness!
That now Sveno, the Norway's king, craves composition, nor would we deign him burial of his men till he disbursed at St. Colm's Inch $10,000 to our general use.
No more that Thane of Cawdor shall deceive our bosom interest. Go, pronounce his present death, and with his former title greet Macbeth.
I'll see it done.
What he hath lost, noble Macbeth hath won.
Okay. Let me share a screen with you because I have this here. So well, I'm here in line 41, 2, 3, line 43. So well, thy words become thee as thy wounds, they smack of honor both. Go get him surgeons. So your words, wait a second, your words are like your wounds. They bring honor to you. Now we need to explain this in how wounds in a battlefield were perceived by the Elizabethan society. People believed that if you were wounded in battle, it was an honor, but not always. The wounds had to be on your front, on the front of your body, because if you got a wound at your back, it meant that you were wounded while you were running away from the battle. So the idea is that this person has wounds at the front of his body, and that's why this is honorable. Yes, in fact, we will see instances in this play in which people ask, how did my son die in the battle? Were the wounds at the back or were the wounds at the front? Because if the wounds were at the front, then he would have died an honorable death. But if the wounds were at the back, then the death wouldn't have been worth it. Yes. So this person lives, and he is attended by some kind of surgeon. Here means doctor. And enters Ross and Angus. Yes, they are minor characters, but they appear quite often. Who comes here? The worthy Thane of Ross. Yes, A thane is a title of nobility in Scotland, yes? Most people are thanes. We will see it in a few minutes. The worthy Thane of Ross. What a haste look through his eyes, so should he look, that seems to speak things strange. So he looks like he has something strange to tell us. Yes, his eyes look troubled. Ross greets Duncan, God save the king. Whence comest thou, worthy Thane? Yes, where have you come from? This is the question that Duncan is asking him. From Fife. Yes, Fife is where the battle is taking place. From Fife, great king, where the Norwegian banners flout the sky and fan our people cold. Norway himself, with terrible numbers, assisted by that he's going to retell again what is happening at the battle, but the difference with the captain is that he's going to tell how it ended. Yes, how did the battle end? The Thane of Cawdor. The Thane of Cawdor is well, now we will see. Wait, the Thane of Cawdor began a dismal conflict till that Bellona's bridegroom lapped in proof, confronting him with self-comparisons. The Thane of Cawdor is Macbeth. The Thane of Cawdor is Macbeth, and the idea here is that they fought against each other. Yes, till that Bellona's bridegroom lapped in proof, confronted him with self-comparisons. So mimicking their swords were mirroring each other. You know, when you are fighting, when you watch a movie and people fight and they mirror each other's movements. Yes, they imit the movements. That's what self-comparisons means here. Yes, so they met every strike, point against point, rebellion's arm against arm, curbing his lavish spirit, and to conclude, the victory fell on us. So he finally says that they won. Yes. Great happiness, Duncan says, that now Sweno, the Norway's king, craves composition. So now the king of the other people, the enemy, yes, he's asking for a peace treaty. He's asking for a truce. Nor would we deign him burial of his men. So we wouldn't even allow him to bury his men. Till he disbursed at St. Combs Inch $10,000 to our general use. So we wouldn't allow him to bury his people until he would pay us for a certain amount of money. No more that Thane of Cawdor shall deceive our bosom interest. Go pronounce his present death, and with his former title greet Macbeth. I'll see it done, what he had lost, noble Macbeth had won. So, sorry, here I made a mistake. The Thane of Cawdor is not yet Macbeth. It was this person that they were fighting, yes? Because now, with the title of the Thane of Cawdor, because this person is going to be executed because of his treason, what Duncan is saying is that we are going to give this title now to Macbeth. Yes, because the Thane of Cawdor is accused of treason. So let me repeat that again, because I made a mistake in the previous line when I said that the Thane of Cawdor was Macbeth. He is not yet the Thane of Cawdor in this moment. He is going to be pronounced, he's going to be called the Thane of Cawdor after the Thane of Cawdor is executed because of his treason. Is that clear? Yes? Okay. Notice that the ending of this is the end of scene 2, and it ends with rhyming couplets. Yes? Look. Go pronounce his present death, and with his former title greet Macbeth. I'll see it done. What he had lost, noble Macbeth had won. This is in rhyming couplets because the Globe Theatre doesn't have curtains. So how do people realize when one scene is over? Well, Shakespeare will do this. At the end of every scene, he would have rhyming couplets. so that people would realize that this was the end of the sin. Okay? Well, I made this last year, but it's a summary of what has happened in this scene. This is something that I suggest you doing, a summary for every scene, at least for the ones that we will analyze, so that you more or less remember what is happening. In this book, at the top, you have a summary of every page, so you can also make a compilation of those if you want. Let us go to Act 1, Scene 3. In this scene, yes, we have the witches again, and they are getting ready to see Macbeth. Yes, and they are talking about a sailor's wife, yes, who wouldn't share the chestnuts, que son como las como nueces, with them. So they will punish her for that. Yeah, so this is what they discuss. Let's hear it.
Exeunt. Act 1, Scene 3. A heath near Forres. Thunder. Enter the three witches.
Where hast thou been, sister?
Killing swine.
Sister, where thou?
A sailor's wife had chestnuts in her lap, and munched and munched and munched. Give me, quoth I, a roin to thee, witch, the rump-fed Runyon cries. Her husband's to Aleppo gone, master of the Tiger. But in a sieve I'll thither sail, and like a rat without a tail, I'll do, and I'll do.
I'll give thee a wind.
Thou art kind.
And I another.
I myself have all the other, and the very ports they blow. All the quarters that they know. I the shipman's card. I will drain him dry as hay. Sleep shall neither night nor day hang upon his penthouse lid. He shall live a man forbid. Weary 7 nights, 9 times 9, shall he dwindle, peak and pine. Though his bark cannot be lost, yet it shall be tempest-tossed. Look what I have.
Show me, show me.
Here I have a pilot's thumb. Wrecked as homeward he did come.
Drum within.
A drum, Macbeth doth come.
Okay, up to here. So this scene is important because we get to see the power that the witches have. Yes, witches have power over nature. Notice that it begins with thunder. Yes, every time that they appear, there is thunder. Yes, they help one another. They can persuade people to do different things, and they cannot kill you. Yes, but they can manipulate you, and they cannot make you disappear either, but they can manipulate the situation so that you do. Yes. So they ask each other. We are not going to analyze line by line. What happens here is that they are discussing that there was this person. They ask each other where they are. Yes, where have you been? And one of them replies, killing swine. Swine is pigs, because there is this idea of witches killing animals for their incantations. Yes. Sister, where art thou? And the first witch says that she tells this story that a sailor's wife was munching, masticar, chestnuts, and she asked her to share some with her, and this lady didn't want to, so she's going to punish her. Yes. And the second witch says, look what, if we go to the bottom, yes, of this page, by line 20, he shall leave a man forbid. He will be a cursed man. Where is 10 nights 9 times 9? Notice that they don't use even numbers. This is why they say 9 times 9. So 81 for 81 weeks. Shall he dwindle, peak and pine? So he will be in agony. Though his bark cannot be lost, yet it shall be tempest tossed. Look what I have. So, though his bark cannot be lost, so I cannot make him disappear, I cannot make him die, but he will be tempest tossed. So I will make his journey miserable. This is the idea. And then she says, look what I have. So it's like they are having a conversation about making people suffer, and then suddenly she feels something in her pocket and says, look what I have. And what is it that she has? Look, show me. Here I have a pilot's thumb. El pulgar de un piloto, de un barco. Divinas las brujas. Wrecked and homeward he did come. So there was a pilot who drowned, and she found that thumb. That of course they would use it for incantations. When they would prepare the cauldron and they would start throwing different items, yes, into it. And then it says, a drum, Macbeth doth come. So notice the suspense, the tension that is created, because they are waiting for Macbeth. They are coming to his meeting to meet him. Yes, a drum, Macbeth doth come. Yes. And notice now the way they speak. Listen.
The weird sisters, hand in hand, posters of the sea and land, thus to go about, thrice to thine, and thrice to mine, and thrice again to make up nine. Peace, the charms wound up.
This is an incantation, yes, of course, in Trochaic foot, yes, the weird sisters. This is another way of calling the witches, the weird sisters, hand in hand, posters of the sea and land, so travelers of the sea and land, thus to go about, thrice to thine and thrice to mine, so they are repeating this 3 times, and thrice again to make up 9, and 3 more times to add 9, yes. Peace, the charms wound up, so the incantation is done, and now enters for the first time Macbeth and Banquo into the play.
Enter Macbeth and Banquo.
So foul and fair a day I have not seen.
How farest called to fours? What are these, so withered and so wild in their attire, that look not like the inhabitants of the earth, and yet are on't? Live you, or are you aught that man may question? You seem to understand me by each at once, her chappy finger laying upon her skinny lips. You should be women, and yet your beards forbid me to interpret that you are so.
Speak if you can. What are you?
Okay, so foul and fair a day I have not seen. So here what Macbeth is saying is I don't remember being in such a beautiful day, because of course they have won. It's like us, I don't know if it happened to you, but Sunday morning everything was perfect. Yes, when you win, everything is perfect. Yes, so foul and fair a day I have not seen. So I have never seen a day that was so good as today. How far is it forest? So how far is forest? Forest is the place where they are going. So how far is it? And then Banquo sees the witches. What are these? So withered and so wild in their attire. Withered means marchitas. Yes, so weird and wild in their attire is their clothing. That look not like the inhabitants of the earth. So they do not look like human beings. This is the idea. Notice how the identity of the witches is being constructed by the gaze of Banquo. Yes? Live you, or are you aught that man may question? So live you here is, are you alive? Yes? This is the question that Banquo is asking. You seem to understand me. So now we will, later on, when we watch the play, we will see that Banquo starts speaking slowly, because he thinks that maybe they are foreigners. Yes? So you seem to understand me, by each at once her choppy finger laying upon her skinny lips, you should be women. So his conclusion is that I think you are women. I think, yes? And yet your beards forbid me to interpret that you are so. So they have hair, facial hair. So your beards forbid me, stop me from thinking that you are women. So the idea is that these people don't look like women, they don't look like men, and they don't look like animals. So what are they? Okay? And Macbeth says, speak if you can. What are you? And this is when the witches will start speaking for the first time to Macbeth. Yes, and we will analyze this next class, because this is one of the most important moments in the play, and we need to pay attention to this. And I want to start and I want to finish on the same day, on the same class. Okay? Any questions? This must have been a little bit harder than last week, wasn't it?
Yes, it was.
Sorry, not did I say next week? It should be next class, which is after winter holidays and after the period of final exams.